Alright, let's take just a second together. I have a Windows 8 project up. This is a generic project, has nothing in it except one special thing, an image I added right here of the Grand Canyon. I want to show off and talk about clipping. You know, I see a lot of squares and rectangles in Windows 8 apps, which is totally okay, except it's not our only option. But, you know, what can you do in XAML as far as taking an image and making it fit into crazy shapes, right? So let's talk about what your options are, and let's start with just the image tag. So what I'll do is I'll go over here, image right there. I'll drag in an image tag. So here's my image tag, and it, of course, it doesn't have an image yet, so I will go over to its property, change its source, and I'll select that grand that I had already added to the project. So it filled it up quite nicely. It's already defaulted to uniform, and so because it's uniform, that means it doesn't distort it, but it doesn't necessarily fill all the available space. So if I wanted to fill all the available space without distortion, I would say uniform to fill. But what happens is it actually crops it just a little bit. I love that because it gives me options. You know, I want to fill that space. But what if I wanted to clip it? Right? So I do have that option. So let me do it down here in the code. So I'm going to, let me make it just a hair bigger so it's easy to see. And I'll say image.clip. Now I'm going to define a new region that is inside the controls boundary. Right? So now I'm going to clip to that new region. The only thing I can put in here, because this is a Windows 8 project, is a rectangle geometry. Rectangle geometry defines a rectangle right here. It has 4 values that goes in it. The first 2 are the XY coordinates of where the rectangle begins. So a clipping can't be a circle. A clipping can't be a strange path. A clipping has to be, you know, a rectangle. So here we go. I'm going to say it starts at 100 by 100. And how big is it? It's, I don't know, 200 by 50. Now, that creates a small clipped area. And from this point forward, even the way I interact with this control or with this image, that's all there is to it. The rest, there's no, there are no other hit points or anything else. This is the entire control. It's a lot of cool power. You know, I can move it around. And I can say this goes down to there. But, you know, a rect can't be bound. So I need to know in advance what I'm going to do. Another thing that's worth at least pointing out is I can clip anything. You know, I don't have to clip just an image. If I had a regular control, let's say a date picker or something, I could clip that as well. May not make sense. But this is our first option, right, is clipping. But what could I do next? Let me add an ellipse. So here's a E-L-L-I-P-S-E. There we go. There's my ellipse. So it will default to be really, really big there. So I don't want that to happen. Let me just say height is 300 and width is 300. There we go. So it's a little bit smaller. So let me, whoop, just missed it. Oh boy. I did a little undo by mistake. There it is. So this is my ellipse. I want to fill it. Grab it already. What's the problem? Alright, now I'm going to fill it. So, you know, I can fill something with a color, I can fill something with the gradient, but I can also fill something with an image. So I'm going to go in, and I am going to select the Grand Canyon, and it fills the circle for me, right? So now it's sort of like creating an image and then clipping it to a circle, except for I did it the other way around. I created the circle and then filled it with the image, right? A lot of nice power there. And I would go in there and I would say uniform to fill so that it doesn't get distorted. But then I have other options as well, because let me drop this down. I can start moving that image around. Let me see, I need to move it in small increments. So let me say 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. Now, I'm moving it a little out so it's showing the edge. But this allows you, if you had a large image, so I may not say uniform to fill, I may say none. And now when I move around in it, it's almost like I have a binoculars deep into it, right? Very cool. And so this is the second option. What if I wanted to have a rectangle? I could just clip it, or I don't even have to clip it. I could put it directly in the image. Or what if I wanted a circle? I could use an ellipse. Doesn't have to be a perfect circle, of course. I could distort it like this, but see how the image doesn't get distorted behind it because I've set it not to be distorted. Now, what if I want something else? So the nice thing about that is I've got a little blob drawn here. In fact, let me draw it again just to make the point. So I've got a blank canvas in Design. Right? You can go download Design for free right now from MSDN. And what's beautiful is I can go in here and I can, let's make it shaped like a dog, right? So here's a dog's tail, here's his first foot, there's his second foot, there's his next foot, there's his next foot. And now, let's see, he's got ears. This isn't really it doesn't look like a healthy dog. Alright, so here's a dog, and all I need really is just a strange shape. So I'll just select this guy and I'll go to edit, and instead of saying copy, I'll say copy XAML. So now when I go into my project here, I can go down and paste it in, and when I do, it pastes all the XAML necessary for the dog. So see, here's the dog. If I went in and I changed its color to white, you'd see it a lot better. Right? See, there's the guy. Really nice. Alright, so in fact, he's just a little bit alpha is why you didn't see him much. And then it's a vector drawing inside XAML, so I have all kinds of control here if I want to make him bigger or not, and he's a beautiful dog. Now, what if I wanted to fill him with the Grand Canyon? Now, the metaphor is getting lost here, but what if I did? I can go select Grand, and I'll delete the ellipse for now, and I'll also go behind it here and delete the image, just so we can see that there is our dog, or better said, it's not a dog. Better said, look down here in the code, there is our path, shaped like whatever we want. And just like before, I can move the image around so that it's showing the portion of the image that I want it to see. Or I can tell it to scale so that it fills it and fills it uniformly if I want to. But it gives me the option of, I can have a rectangle, that's my image. I can tilt it and do different things that makes it sort of neat, but I can also put it in a circle if I want to have some sort of uniformity but still interesting. In fact, check this out. Or I could put it in a path, right? And that's the, there is no end. I could make that shape whatever I want. This is what I wanted to show you, though. Watch this. I'm going to add another ellipse, and so it has the Grand Canyon in it. And so this was what I did to the last one, so it's defaulting to the prior properties. That's why it already has it in it. And I've seen this in a couple apps, and I got to tell you, I really, really like it. And it's basically, this is the semantic zoom. So I'm looking at all their data, and when I back out, I see a snapshot of the data that I'm looking at because it's visual data in this case. And it shows it as a series of circles, and I get to pick the one that I want, and there's a small amount of data below it, so I know specifically what I'm getting at. Anyway, the reality is squares and rectangles, beautiful, clean, they have excellent visual alignment with the rest of the ecosystem, but it's not what you have to do, right? There's a flexibility in the guidelines to say do what's best for you, your brand, and for you to be able to deliver the most value through your app. Do you want to deliver it as a square or a rectangle? Go for it. Circle? Go for it. Crazy shape, a star, an explosion, something that's shaped like your logo or whatever? Go for it. It's all here, all supported inside your XAML application, and this is how you would do it. Easy enough? I hope so. Best of luck.